All right, everybody. Cool. Welcome everybody. This is my first AMA, so I'm going to try doing this my way, which is kind of the way I want to do things. I'm a bit of a nerd. Those of you who don't know me, my name's GM Eric. I run D&D sessions and role-playing game sessions for people online as a full-time professional job. This is what I do for a living. I do not have another employment, and this is my job. I've been doing it now for almost 4 years. The job is a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. I love what I do for a living. And people have been asking me a ton of questions, and in order to prevent myself from having to repeat myself way too many times, I have decided to go ahead and do an AMA where I come in and kind of answer a collection of questions that are outstanding for the various campaigns, players, in general, all of the stuff that I do. People have asked questions about, and so I want to get an opportunity to sit down and have a chat and answer some questions. So we got a couple people here. I see we've got Weeks Wilder and DM Portella in here. Had DM Portella earlier this morning in the Sunday group of the Lost Lore Company. Before we get started, I did have a couple of announcements just because I have to do this. On March 3rd, I'm doing a collab with Charmed Fantasy. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be hosting him over here. We're doing a session trade where he hosted me a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to be hosting him on March 3rd. We're going to be doing a Dungeons of Drakkenheim adventure. The tickets for that sold out in 15 minutes on Thursday. So those are gone and no longer available. Look for that presentation when it comes out. It should be a lot of fun. The people who are involved in it, from all accounts, are great role players, and it should be a great time. I also have on gmeric.com, I have my Punch Ronaldus Basil in the Face pillow. That is a wonderful pillow. It's great for sleeping on, etc. But my favorite thing is to elbow drop the dumb thing. Those things are awesome. I highly encourage you guys to pick one up if you like accent pillows to abuse. I do GM tip videos every single day on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Go ahead and hit like on those if you want to share the word of GM Eric out to the masses. Those are a lot of fun. Today's involved a dragon egg, which is really cool. That was sent to me by one of my players. And of course, today I'm doing the AMA. My next session will be tomorrow evening with the Spirit's End Fellowship, where they just got done dealing with some bounty hunters and are on the recovery. But when they arrived where they're going, they heard a loud boom. And whatever that is, they'll find out tomorrow. Okay. You guys hear me good? Awesome. So let's go ahead and I'm going to put up a little bit of music here just so that we have something in the background. My headset just died. 1 second. Let me grab this. Cool. Sorry for this, guys. Technical issues when you do this all by yourself kind of sucks sometimes. All right. There we go. That's all fixed. The music should be starting here in a moment. That turned on. Sing for you guys, but you don't want that. Trust me. Let me just get some background music on here because otherwise hearing my voice the whole time is going to be kind of meh. So go ahead and fix that once we get the AMA started here. AMA, here we go. The first question that I have is, Is magic beyond level 9 possible? And this is a complicated question. The reason that this is complicated is because I want to make sure that we balance things out between the sessions and the power levels of the campaigns that my players play in. Is it possible? Yes. However, I don't want my players doing it at the moment, so it is something that I would be saving mostly for a NPC situation or for a campaign where we literally go after epic level creatures. The level 9 spells beyond were kind of broken in 3.5, and when you got to 5th edition, the levels beyond level 12 really start getting into some broken abilities, and they're just not a lot of fun after that, because once you're talking things like mass wish or global changing spells, you start dealing with the cosmos and planet breakers and things like that, and the system is just not set up for that. So within 5th edition, I would say no. For practical purposes, the 9th level spells are not going to be a thing that I'm going to be embracing anytime soon, just because I can't really balance that for the players without just either killing them or not being a challenge. That really is what it comes down to. And yeah, Sealder's right. Level 9 spells are pretty broken already. It could be a lot of fun to do a campaign along those lines, but it basically at that point becomes just number creep. And number creep within a role-playing game kind of sucks. So, yeah, you might have fun for 1 or 2 sessions having 1,000,000 health, but that's a lot of zeros to go through when you're dealing attacks that deal, 300,000 damage. So it's just a pain in the butt. I'd rather see the Cosmo level campaign done from level 1, but do the spell animations and everything being cosmic level. So a firebolt would be an entire comet, that sort of thing. I could absolutely see doing something like that. That would be interesting. Not opposed to doing that sort of thing, but as far as running D&D 5th edition through the concept of a high level thing, I don't think is something I'm going to be doing anytime soon. Just not great. Cool. So, wish there were some slick high level rules to do a high level campaign. I agree. However, we're going to have to ask Wizards of the Coast for those because, well, they haven't given those. Hopefully this new D&D 1 will have some more options to that, but we'll see. I'm holding out a little bit of hope, not a lot, because I do want to kind of be a positive influence on the gaming community. And, well, right now Wizards of the Coast has a poor track record, in my opinion, but we'll see what happens going forward. All right, so the next question that I have here. Next question is, war between Corlin and Reston, what started the war? Was there different political structures before? And are there prejudices or rumors regular people would hold? Well, this is a question that comes to us from Dunks. The last one was from Sweet August Rose. But Dunks asked this question, and, well, that's a lot of lore. And so we're going to go ahead and delve into it because that's what this is all about, right? So, the war between Corlin and Reston. Mangastu, D&D 1 probably won't have anything to do with the existing campaigns, but whenever we start a new campaign, we will probably go into that sort of campaign with the people who start those. So it's a potential. I am open to running a D&D 1 campaign, but starting in the middle and changing systems is not real viable. But the war between Corlin and Reston, what started the war? The original war was focused on food and territory. The Corlin side of the border is desolate, rocky, nasty, filled with monsters, elementals, large snakes, and even the beastie. For those of you who have not run into the beastie, it is a monstrous creature that preys on fears. It literally consumes them for its own strength, and the more frightened you are, the stronger the creature becomes. The teens of Toivoa managed to defeat it at some great cost, including my own heart attack last year, which was not a fun thing. But the war between Corlin and Reston started because the Corlinites wanted to get more food because they were desperate, and the lush area to the east and north was Reston's, and that's where they decided to go and collect food and territory and other supplies. So the search for resources is very strong. Generally, the people from Reston and Shu, not just Reston, because this was actually a war between Corlin, Reston, and Shu, because Shu and Reston do not share a physical border, a ground border. They didn't really get into conflict except for over in Bourbon, which is what led to the rise of the Cervantes family. But Shu and Corlin, Reston and Corlin, had this very large war where Corlin tried to expand outwards into Shu and Reston at the same time and got pushed back due to a variety of factors. Those factors are going to be revealed eventually by some group. I'm not sure if it's a group that's currently running right now, but at some point that lore will be allowed to come out if someone explores it. I believe the group that may be closest to that information is actually the Awesome Blossoms, which is my Tuesday night group. So, yeah, that's where the war happened. As far as the prejudices between them, the prejudices and rumors that regular people would hold, the prejudices are that Corlinites tend to be on the monstrous side of things. You have the monstrous races, of course, but even if you're a human or an elf from the Corlin side, you are viewed as a barbarian or a less than couth individual, not civilized in any way. So they're not exactly the people that you would want to hang around with on a regular basis unless you like getting beat up. Some people are looking to pay more attention. Yeah. So the Reston people view the people from Corlin to be monstrous and rough. The Corlinites view the Restoners to be posh and, pampered. They view them as soft and generally to be derided and conquered because they don't deserve all the stuff they've got. Corlin's view on Shu, and this is a bonus thing, Corlin's view on Shu is that Shu is a military power and should not be messed with. They don't want to go up there because they'll know they'll get their butts kicked. So the Corlinites actively defend against the Shuian border, whereas Shu doesn't actually try to expand. They like the borders where they're at the moment. So they're not very expansionist in that aspect. But great question. Next question. Next question here is going to be... Here we go. I'm having to do this all myself, so give me just a moment here. What really caused the Sky Islands to fall? And this comes from Amer or Marcellinus, more likely Marcellinus, knowing the characters. That's kind of his shtick. But what caused the Sky Islands to fall? It was a variety of topics that caused the Sky Islands to fall. There was a variety of things. The big one was that, there was this great war between the ground dwellers and the sky people. And during the conflict, a variety of weapons were used. One of the weapons that has been revealed was a smoke dragon by the name of Redentu, attacked one of the major sky islands over the place that we now know as Briar Glen. Redentu flew into the island and destroyed arcane construct that was keeping it afloat. When she did so, the island fell and landed on her mate, one of her mates, named Oigith. Oigith was crushed and buried beneath Briar Glen in a space that was eventually revealed by a meteor that landed, and his lich form has since escaped and is roaming the world looking for a way to regenerate his mate, Redentu. So that is out there, and that is currently available. So we'll see. But other things that caused the Skylands to fall was a rip in the weave. I don't want to reveal what that was caused by. There were some very powerful magical weapons that were used. It is I'm trying to make sure I don't reveal too much here. There's a lot of things that caused the Skylands to fall, but they did not all fall at the same time, and they fell due to different sources of interruption, we'll call it. Cool. Are there any left afloat? Oh, that's a good question, Tillawan, and I will simply answer yes. I'm not going to tell you where. I'm not going to tell you which one or who's on it. But yes, there is at least one, and I believe right now there's only one Sky Island flying. I'd have to go double check. You think it's the Pinnacle? Maybe, maybe not. You'll have to find out during your campaign. So I don't want to reveal that yet, because that's something that would be a big reveal across the campaign that it's involved in. So I'm not answering that question today. I appreciate it, but there is one out there. I hope that's enigmatic enough for you guys. Weeks Wilder's looking for an explorer group to find it. Good luck! We have several explorer groups. We have the Lost Lore Company that met this morning, and they are currently setting up shop, but will be going out and exploring the wide world. We also have the Spirits End Fellowship that has gone globe-trotting around. The Awesome Blossoms are going on occasional jobs outside of Ivry, or Ivrix, as I like to call it. The Teens of Toivoa, sorry, not Teens of Toivoa, the Toivoan Trainwreck are currently going to Bourbon. They're unlikely to find it, just saying. The Friday Night Lights are not going to find it anytime soon. Don't expect that in the next year or two. And the Us Against the Gods campaign could find it, and the Mysterious Machinations could also find it. So there's a variety of groups that could go out there and find it. Just saying that that's out there. And so just that's what really caused the Skylands to fall. That's where we're at with that. So next, go over to the next question. Just how powerful are patrons? Oh, goodness. This is a great question, honestly. Patrons, especially warlock patrons, gods for paladins, etc., imbue them with the various powers that their domains allow. So it's kind of one of these things that depends on the patron. Currently, I do have Leslie as a patron, and Zerud is also another patron that's out there. There's a couple patrons in the Lost Lore Company that I'm not going to discuss because I want to keep their lore for those people. But Leslie is powerful enough to support one warlock right now, maybe two if she stretched herself. As far as the other patrons that are out there, Zerud is known to have been in the past and will be in the future a patron of warlocks, and not just one or two. Oh goodness. There's a individual by the name of Dowergrim Oregard who is also a patron. There's also Lumiona Misty Jacket, and Lumiona Misty Jacket is another patron that is very powerful. She has her own mage tower in the Fey Realms and kind of enjoys dominion over a significant portion of the Fey realms, as she is what she would consider a rival of Queen Tatiana of the Fey, but not necessarily true. That's more of in her head as opposed to actual facts. So Lumiona Misty Jacket is someone who should be considered carefully when dealing with her, because she's not a good person and not someone that you really want to hang out with. But she does provide Riven Leowick with enough powers to get himself in trouble and get laid a lot, apparently. All right, so as far as Zarude goes, Zarude has granted time powers to Saros. Saros is able to travel through time in certain instances. Zarude is powerful enough to have kidnapped or helped kidnap Silas, the Archfey of Time, and hold him captive. So patrons can be vastly powerful. Don't piss off your patron should be a mantra, because if you piss off your patron, you lose your powers, just like a paladin would. So be careful with your patrons, guys. You don't want to piss them off. They're usually pretty strong. They're not gods, but definitely powerful entities that need to be respected, unless you're ready to take them on as a foe, because they'll consider you to be one if you oppose them at best. So the next question here is Summoner. The Pathfinder Summoner. This one comes from Matilda Kipp. Matilda wanted to know whether I could bring in summoners for my campaigns, or if I could do a subclass of another class like Wizard in order to feed into Summoner. There's a place for that, and if I could get my development team to build Summoner so that it was actually satisfactory and functional, I would seriously consider it. I would want something along the lines of a Drake Warden from Ranger, but have it just shifted over to Wizard. Kind of like a Drake Warden Wizard, but with an Eldritch pet. I think that would be a lot of fun to play as, and I think could develop into an interesting class, because you then go off of your intelligence as opposed to your dex and wisdom. So there's a place for it. I'm just not sure if at the moment I have time to build that. It is a significant investiture of time and effort to get it balanced. As far as the summoner archetype for Druid, the summoner archetype it's the shepherd druid that famously Gwal runs. The shepherd druid is a lot of fun, and yeah, it can be very cool. If we shifted from that over towards a wizard, I think that's actually the request, is to run an int-based summoner. So I think you're on the right track there, Sealder. I think that's a real way to handle things, because I like Summoner. I think it's actually a fun class, and I think it's fairly balanced, especially when we talk about the action economy of 5th edition. Limiting how many actions you can take per turn is good, and I think the number of pets that they've got summoning is actually not bad, as long as the GM is able to balance what pets are able to be summoned, because there are pets such as the wolves and etc. that cause problems. It's like summoning the pixies that grant haste and everything. It's just not or polymorph. It's just not something that you want to exploit when you go to your GM. If you're looking to exploit things, this is not a class that I would really consider. I would want to okay with the specific player before I allowed it into my games. So, potentially, but not at the moment. It would need a lot of work in order to get it to the point where I would be willing to actually run it. So at the moment, no. But if someone was able to develop a good summoner thing, kind of want to see what's going on. But if you're interested in doing that, I would love to see what you got as far as creating a summoner wizard. think that would be a lot of fun to review and check out or explore in the future. Not as bad as Master Summoner and Pathfinder, right? That was a travesty, absolutely. But if you want to go ahead and work on it, feel free to build up a wizard, and I will absolutely look at the subclass and see what we can do. But the request is for a wizard summoner. Specifically, they're wanting to play a nerdy person who summons creatures to support them. I have an anime trope, which is kind of fun. So I don't really have a problem with it if it can be balanced properly. As far as the actual theming of stuff, that's where it kind of hits the fan. All right, next question. Why don't more people believe that the world is flat? Well, see, here's a problem. The world is not technically flat. I believe that this is actually an issue with the players as opposed to the characters themselves. The characters may actually believe that the world is flat. Problem is that, and this is where I'm just going to poke the bear, the world here on Earth is depicted as not being flat. And because the world on Earth is depicted as not being flat, the vast majority of people who are either mathematically inclined or scientifically inclined recognize a general ovoid shape. And so when we go into a different environment, the concept of a flat Earth or flat Toivoa is foreign to them, as they have taken the shape of Earth to be a fact of planets. Well, Toivoa is not necessarily round in that shape as far as like an actual sphere. Toivoa is a different shape, and that will be revealed in time. I don't have anyone at the moment who's exploring that other than Gone from the Mysterious Machinations. He is currently trying to be the voice of reason to the entire planet as he works to spread the gospel of how flat the planet is. And that question actually came from him. So something to be aware of that will eventually happen. The next question here. Let me get that ready here. Okay. Next question. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Next question is, what is the cosmology of the planes? And this one comes from Luminostra. The cosmology of the planes. Goodness. The planes exist on various dimensional layers. There are planes that currently overlap almost perfectly with our existing one, such as the ethereal and astral planes. Those exist in the same spaces we do on a regular basis on the material plane. That's why when you travel through the ethereal space, you end up where you intend to be and not crisscross somewhere else. Go to the astral plane and travel. It's not a big deal. That's why teleportation works easily. You're able to navigate fairly easily through the overlapping ones that are just simply stacked on top of each other, actually existing in the same physical space, just in different dimensions. Now, within those, you also have things like the elemental plane of fire, water, etc. These various planes out there have different locations in existence and are connected by fabric of the weave. So if you were to go into the space between those, it's literally just pure magic. Some of them mirror the reality that we are in, others are separated completely, like the Fey realms, where these spaces are larger, more dynamic, more extreme than what we have here in Toivo and normal space. So it's a space that the cosmology is something that I want to explore more of, and we will be exploring more thanks to a couple characters, specifically at the moment Luminostra. There's another one that I don't want to reveal yet that is currently exploring that, but they don't know it. So there's some other characters that are going to be exploring those more, so expect a little bit more planar stuff coming forward. But remember, traveling to a different plane is a very dangerous thing. When you go to the elemental plane of fire, you are in a fire. And if you are not immune, you're going to die. It should not be, oh, we go to the elemental plane of fire, we wear our normal clothes, and we're fine. Elemental plane of fire, anything that's flammable burns. And so it is not a safe place to be at. It is not a casual visit. It is get immunity or you're going to suffer terribly. This is not a friendly plane hopper. This is not Planescape. This is very intense planes. So when you go somewhere, you're going to really, really feel it. So, oh, speaking of the Changemaker, those of you who know the Changemaker from the Toivonen Trainwreck or the Us Against the Gods campaign, the Changemaker now exists on the elemental plane of water thanks to the Toivonen Trainwreck. So that ship is now somewhere out there. So be ready for that. And no, vacation on an elemental plane is probably a really bad idea. Trying to think, you wouldn't want to go to the elemental plane of Earth because it's basically a big rock that you would teleport into and die. The elemental plane of water is wet and you're going to drown because there is no air. The elemental plane of fire is very burny and hot and doesn't really have much of a ground to it, except for in rare places. It's not a pleasant place to be. Don't go there if you don't want to deal with the consequences. Do we have quasi-elemental planes like Void? Yes. Mud. I don't have an elemental plane of mud yet. I've thought about it. Salt, possibly. But those are more... I suppose those... I don't know. I don't think we have an elemental plane of sodium. I think that there could be not an elemental plane of fun, but there could be a plane of fun. It doesn't need to be an elemental plane in order to be a plane of existence. And so a plane of hilarity could absolutely exist. The areas of the planes meet. Not necessarily. Most of the planes are independent of each other. You might have a muddy moment when you transition from water to earth, etc., or earth to water. But as far as actually meeting and connecting like you would in the Pacific Ocean, where the Pacific and the Atlantic mix, that's not a not the Pacific and Atlantic, but where the Pacific Ocean meets the ocean over there, it's just not something that I really want to do because it leads into all sorts of really nasty exploitive monsters. It may be something I do in the lore in the future, but at the moment, in favor of not getting crazy too far, yeah, I kind of want to hold off on the lane merging. That's something that might happen. You will need to ask the Us Against the Gods campaign for that. And a little bit of the Spirits End Fellowship. We know that our friend went off, and Del Brightgrove went off due to an elemental rift or primal rift that opened between Fey Realms and Material Plane, and has gone to the Bright Grove where she was born to fight off the forces of Shantara Grove. So there's some planar travel coming in. There are not infinite planes. No. Each individual plane, to a degree, yeah. It's functionally infinite. We'll put it that way. I think Minecraft, you're going to be going for a really long time. So, very, 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 very large. All right. Next question here. And do that one. Excuse me. When are you going? I'm not sure. That's up to you guys. Which leads into this next question. How much effect do PCs have on the lore? Well, my personal computer has a lot of impact on the lore. Without it, I can't really do anything. So, by that account, PCs have a lot of impact on the lore. If we're talking player characters have the ultimate impact on the lore. Without you guys, there is no lore in Toivoa. I present challenges and I present some story beats for you guys, but how you handle them and what you do has a direct impact on the lore for everybody. This is the joy and delight of running a connected world, is running a campaign where the players honestly affect everything. And I just kind of, let you guys run your thing, and I just keep track of what's going on in order to ensure that it's consistent across the board for you guys. So I think the answer to how much effect do PCs have on the lore, I think the answer to that is all of the effect. I think that without the players in this case, there is no lore. I think that it is ultimately the players, and without the players, nothing exists. I think that I create a world that the players go into, and yes, stuff happens while you guys aren't there. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a living world. So people get hungry, people go to the bathroom, etc. But without the players getting involved, the major lore bits kind of go about their day. It's how the players get involved that really affects it and causes things to change. So I think the best answer is they impact the lore based off of their involvement, as opposed to I'm just going to dictate the way things are. I don't like doing that. I think that is boring for the players, boring for the GM, boring for the world, and negative for the entire experience. So players impacted a lot. All right. I hope that answered that question from Mio. All right. And if you guys see my head move around a lot, it's because I'm running this whole show by myself, which is fun. All right. So the next question here. This one is from Sison. Which party is closest to discovering the secret behind why Warforged don't exist in Toivoa? And I had to go and do some research on this because I wanted to make sure exactly what was going on and how I could answer this appropriately. And geographically, as of today, the closest geographic group to figuring that out is this Mysterious Machinations. Do I think that they're going to go and explore that? No, because it has nothing to do with their campaign. It's kind of on this line of, yes, they are nearby-ish. It would still be a major side campaign to go and explore that. As far as what else is going on in that area, and I'm not telling you which direction that's in, but geographically on the map, Mysterious Machinations right now are the closest. As far as actually discovering it and getting it into the story, I think the Awesome Blossoms are the closest one. So, yeah, that's kind of where I want to go with that. The Toivoa and Trainwreck could be close as far as storyline goes. I'm just not sure as to what their plans are. So, I kind of just let you guys figure it out on your own. I can't really answer that without being a massive spoiler that would ruin things. So, I hope that answered the question there, Sison. All right. I copied the wrong question. Oh. Yeah. So, no, I didn't copy the wrong question. This is actually along the same lines of Warforged. So, we will go ahead and feed over to that one. All right. The next question is, why don't Warforged exist in Toivoa? And if it's because of the almighty trademark, TM, Would you be willing to make your race of totally not Warforged, Iron Men or something? Like, that's not trademarked out the wazoo. There's a reason for it. And for the record, there is a Warforged that's walking around. It's actually in the short novels that I had on the website for a while that were written by Mr. Shutke. The reason as to why the Warforged are not active and prevalent is, I think, the more appropriate question. And I don't want to answer that yet because it's a major reveal. So just tossing that out there. At the moment, I am not ready to reveal why Warforged are not more prevalent. Just not something I'm willing to spoil as far as the lore goes, because it's a major thing that will affect campaigns going forward, and I just don't want to ruin it yet. I just don't think that's fair to the groups that discover it. So, the next question, if I get this one up here, go. The next question. All right. What piece of inconsequential lore have you wanted to share with... Sorry, let me reread that. What piece of inconsequential lore have you wanted to share which you haven't had a chance to yet? Well, the little bit of lore that I'm willing to share that I have not been able to yet is that the Krolik people are on Andoja and they ride giant jackalopes. So if you want to go ride giant jackalopes, they exist in Andoja, along with all the other crazy things that are there. And the Krolik are a people that ride jackalopes. They breed them in different forms, ranging from small ones all the way up to giant elk-size jackalopes. So be ready for that. So the Krolik are in Andoja. Will be your lore bit for the day. Want to explore more about that? Go to Andoja and figure it out. It's fun to explore. Let's see. What's the next one here? Oh, this is a long one. All right. Second here, I need to shrink the text so it'll all fit because the person was very ambitious. This was Tyronius's question. Really long. Give me just a second to fix this. All right. So the question is there. How are the different campaigns linked timeline-wise? Are they linked at all? Say if someone was to kill the leader of the Blue Cloaks, Ronaldus Basil, the great paladin of goodness and righteousness and protection of Nausea, would it not actually a paladin, should say, would it be news for any parties passing through the town in the next session? Or would it be something that appears in the next campaign you set up, i.e. new game, new stuff happens? Well, the lore is very much tied to present time. I try to keep a consistent timeline across the groups. It does vary from group to group because of how much time people rest in one group. Might be less than someone else rests in their session. But right now, based off of my timeline, you guys across all the groups are sitting in a realm of about 3 weeks. So pretty close. The timeline is not very fragmented at the moment, which I'm kind of proud of, that the groups are kind of on the same timeline and everything. Nice. Except for the Friday Night Lights, who asked to go through existing content. So those guys are a little bit different, but there's a reason for that. Okay. The next question. But you guys do know that if you guys kill someone in one campaign, it affects the others. So be cautious what you do, because you might piss off another group and they might come after you. Just saying that the Toivonen Trainwreck has pissed off a lot of people, and yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, so the next question here. Yeah, you are good at that. Oh, I hit the wrong button there. The next question as we fade over. Dragon question. This one is also from Tyronius. How many dragons have the various parties encountered, either knowingly or unknowingly? Knowingly, the various campaigns have done a lot. Welcome, the Mad Teabagger. Welcome. Just doing an AMA about some lore. How many dragons have the various parties encountered, either knowingly or unknowingly? Knowingly, they've encountered a lot. The various campaigns have encountered many, many dragons, ranging in intelligence from pseudo dragons that do nothing to full-on ancient dragons that strafe cities on a regular basis. The Skybreaker Kydron is on a regular basis in the Lost Lore Company. He made an appearance today where he flew by and knocked a couple of players off their feet. Oygith is a shadow dragon that has been encountered in humanoid form by the Mysterious Machinations. Slegeos has been encountered by the Toivonen Trainwreck and by the Us Against the Gods campaign. There's a lot of dragons out there. Anyone who's been to the Dragon's Horde has met up with at least 16 of them. And it's a lot of dragons out there. Most of the dragons are based out of Ostrea, with the exception of, for example, Kydron. Oygith doesn't hang out in Ostrea. There's other places where he's involved in. And of course, Vagradan, who is a very real threat to the world, and spoiler warning, will be making an impact very, very soon in one of the campaigns. So, look at that. Which campaign has encountered the most dragons? I believe the group that has encountered the most dragons is the Spirit's End Fellowship, which have encountered, I want to say, close to 60. So, lots and lots of dragons. And unknowingly, let's see, without revealing too much, I think that at the moment there are 10 dragons that have not been revealed as being dragons. So unknowingly, I would say there are 10 dragons out there, and I'm not telling you guys who those dragons are or where they are. So tough. That is a bit of lore that we're going to hold back and not reveal, because that is major spoiler warnings for the future, and I don't want to ruin the fun for people, because fun is important. All right, so welcome, Mad Teabagger. You're a D&D fan. You print and paint minis. Awesome. I'm sorry that your game fell apart. Cool. Good luck starting your own game. There's a lot of GMs out there, and a lot of them are great. I love doing what I do. I do this professionally. This is what I do for a living. I'm full-time. Sorry that your group fell apart. But hang out and have fun. If you want to find out more about me, I'm over at gmeric.com, and I've been doing this full-time professionally now for 4 years. I got open spots if you're looking for a game. Shameless plug. All right. So the next question here is, how do dragons work in your setting? In most settings, they have traits related to the breed or type, but I've been told that that is not the case for your setting or world. That is correct. Toivonen dragons are not bound morally or behaviorally to their race or their species or their breed. The Toivonen dragons are more personal and independent of, hey, I'm red, I have a fiery attitude. Yeah, there are some that would fit that stereotype, but they're not necessarily evil. A red dragon can be a good dragon. It really depends on the dragon and its personal experiences. So, I try to avoid the, frankly, racist theme from the WotC content about the dragons between chromatic and metallic. and then gems being, independent, and primordials, etc., being off the wall. I believe that the dragons in Toivoa are more diverse and more interesting when you don't know just by the color of a dragon's skin whether it's a good dragon or a bad dragon. It leads to a bit more a bit more dynamic encounters instead of, oh, that one's red, it's bad, let's kill it. It leads into more of, let's explore what's going on here, discover motivation, and where we're going on with. Right, nuance is a good word. Smoke dragons. Right now, there are a variety of moralities going on. A new smoke dragon got revealed last week, and so I'm not even going to reveal what that one is as far as good or bad. That's up to the interpretation. And right now, I'm not sure that the party that discovered it knows, which is fun. Whether it's good, bad, evil, neutral, whatever. So, no idea. And exactly, you have to get to know the characters, which leads into a better story, as opposed to red dragon, kill it. Whatever. So that's kind of one of those things that is bad. I didn't fade through that questions. I apologize, Teronius, but I did answer it. I apologize on not fading through. So I actually already swapped to the next one on there. I apologize. The next question was, what's the funniest time a PC has dropped below 0 hit points or just straight up died? PC death is not always funny, but if it started with, hey, watch this, then something happened. Honestly, I hate player character deaths. I really hate player character deaths. It is one of the least favorite parts of what I do. I definitely dislike killing players. This is not GM kill the players. If it was GM kill the players, that's easy, not fun, it doesn't build story. In the case of a player character death, I believe it's actually a serious thing in most cases because death is serious. And people get emotionally attached to their characters, as they should. If you're not having passion for your character, why are you playing? This is supposed to be a cooperative story, and ending a character's life is really hard, both for the player and, in my case, for me. I literally won't sleep the night I kill a character. I just will be messed up for the entire next day. I hate killing player characters. I really hate killing. No degree. However, if I had to nail this down to a specific case, I did. And I wrote these answers so that I wouldn't forget. And I thought real hard about this one. I actually came back to this one 3 or 4 times. And I think the funniest one that has happened consisted of a mage who was fighting with his party and happened to have a wild magic surge. And the wild magic surge fired. And for those of you who don't know, I run a D10,000 table. And on the D10,000 table, the wild magic surge prevented someone prevented his party from remembering who he was or that he existed at all. Well, when Tim, the mage, fell unconscious and began dying, no one realized he existed. So nobody went over to help him, and he was left to die on his own, making death saves. And when he failed his 3 death saves, he died, and nobody knew he had ever been there. So, goodbye, Tim. Tim, the mage, had died with no recollection of having existed at all in the first place. That was played by the same player who plays Twilight's Call on Saturday mornings. And Tim the Enchanter is not in existence anymore. I believe that was the funniest one because the dice just conspired to kill the character. And it was one of those experiences that was beneficial, I think, in the end, because the character he came back with, Radian, turned out to be a very memorable character, and I think it was a nice change for the player to run Radiant as opposed to Tim. So I think that's the funniest one was the one where he died forgotten and alone, which is sad to say, right? But Tim the Enchanter died sad and alone. The second place one is when a player's ADHD kicked in, where the wind blows, and he was blown off of a mountain and impaled on a tree. And that was Amer Shestina in one of his many deaths, because Amer keeps getting back up again. So, yeah. He wandered into the stream of a very forceful wind, which blew him off the mountain, and it happened because he had ADD and just lost track of where his character was. And I think he can laugh about it now. He's actually one character that Joe's a great player, and I love having him in my groups. He embraces the chaos that is his playstyle and who he. All right, next one. Fading over. What Leslie really want from all this since she's hanging around Nausha? From Fiden. Well, wouldn't you like to know? Should I answer this? Should I answer what Leslie wants? No, I shouldn't. But I will. Leslie wants to further the aims of the consortium and power. Leslie has some power at the moment, but she knows her limitations, and she is expanding, we'll say, through her loyal warlock in doubt, Covet Von Sin. So, I think that's about as specific as I'm willing to get. I think that that's stuff that you already knew, that she wants to further the consortium's aims, and that she's expanding with Covet's tutelage, we'll call it, which is fun. Just kind of let that be out there. Thanks, Vakine and Daisy for showing up. Thanks everybody for showing up. You guys are awesome. Makes me want to do these more often. We're at 15. Awesome. Cool. So we're going to fade into the next question here. How do I manage time travel? When? Are we talking in the future, in the past? Will I or won't I? I think I have done a good job in the past. However, in the future, I have been unsure. So that's kind of the way I look at it. I do have time travel in certain areas. Most famously in the Chrononacrum is one of the big ones. The Toyvoin train wreck went through an entire time hopping arc where they went into a space where they had to travel through time repeatedly, like lots. And when they did so, they wandered forward and backward in time in their own timelines. They saw their mother before they were born. They saw future versions of their religion and their faith. They saw a future version of a descendant that had turned into a cyborg. They saw past versions, just whole 9 yards. I think time travel is an interesting thing when done right, but it is a very tricky balance. I do have a cantrip that I allow my players access to called Silas's Hinder Fate, which is a time warping chronomancy spell. If you have not played around with it, check it out. It is a lot of fun in practice. It doesn't seem like it at first, but once you actually get into a game and start using it, Silas's Hinder Fate is an absolute hoot to use and can save a party. It has several times. Silas's Hinder Fate is a ton of fun and is originally from a player character named Silas, who took over as the Archfey of Time. We talked about him earlier, and he learned that type of magic from his father Eamine, who was the former Archfey of Time, and has since been dethroned and slain and deposed, and is currently having a bad time somewhere else on another plane of existence that shall remain nameless, because you don't want to go there. But time travel, there's a time and place for it, pun intended. But yeah, got to be careful with time travel, because time travel can really mess up a campaign. I do have the Torfali, which are a time-based species that have come from another planet and are currently residing, and at least 2 people are residing on Toivoa. People have run into these 2 people, one being Trenton Shard and the other being a individual known as Dreamshade. Those 2 people are Torfali, and they have time powers. Dreamshade has been known to hop into the future and into the past, and yeah, expect more of that as the lore goes on. So I warned you guys at the very start of this that there would be spoilers. Oh yeah. All right. Next one here. We'll fade over to the next question. There is something about the Yuan-ti race now in Toivoan history. Would you explain that? How does the average citizen feel about this? The Toivoan Gazette runs a poll that says 62% of all humanoid moms do not trust the Yuan-ti with their babies. And then the quote from the Gazette is, I mean, they come from eggs. Ew. Well, the Toivoan people in general, specifically the Yuan-ti were once a powerful race of serpent folk very long ago, and some of them still exist. And for the record, Weeks Wild, you already knew this information. And thanks for the tip, Red Hawk. Appreciate that. Appreciate that a lot. But the Yuan-ti are a powerful race of serpent folk. They exist. They are strong in magic. They were able to bridge the gap between gods and primal spirits. For those who have run into the Australian primal spirits, that is a thing. Highly religious, they were a shining example of civilization and magical powers. However, due to a variety of factors, they were never truly trusted by others. Suspicion is natural, and they are typically very private and cautious about sharing their knowledge. When the Sky Islands fell, their capital was crushed, and it was crushed by the city that is now known as the Central Wall. That is a very politically strong environment that a couple of the groups have run into. The Central Wall is run by a Glencalli Empress. She's half scorpion, half humanoid, and she is very powerful. The Stranger Things in Briar Glen campaign had a climax of the campaign in the Central Wall dealing with her. And it was interesting. The Central Wall currently lies on top of a series of catacombs. The catacombs are on top of the Yuan-ti homeland. So that got revealed to the Toivoan train wreck almost a year and a half ago now. So that's out there as well. Something to look out for. The more you hear, the more you want to be exploring more of Toivoa. I'm glad. There's a lot of lore here. And thanks for following, Dave. I appreciate that. Hope you're enjoying the content. I clicked on the wrong thing. Second, guys. Let me get the next question. Where did I go? The dragon question. Time travel. Here we go. All right. Next question here. The next question is going to be from Sweet August Rose. And the next question is, has anyone ever played a tabaxi who hunts down wanted criminals called Cat the Bounty Hunter? No, not yet. However, if you have run into... oh, thanks for all the gift subs. Appreciate those. Whoever did those anonymously, appreciate those a lot. That's very kind of you. thanks for handing those out. Those people are people that I love having in my groups. Thank you so much for handing those out. Very nice of you. But has anyone ever played a tabaxi who hunts down wanted criminals called Cat the Bounty Hunter? No. But as of a couple, actually, it's been several sessions that he's been in, but there is someone completely opposite named this one who has a lot of bounties on his head. And this one is a tabaxi who is active in the world, even if he's not actively in a campaign on a regular basis. So, yeah. Thanks again, Anonymous Gifter. Really appreciate that. That's huge. Thank you. But no one plays a bounty hunter named Cat. As fun as that might be, that's not someone that has been played yet. All right, next question here is going to be coming from Bodhidharma. And this is a 6-part question, and I got the answers for all 6 of these. And so we're going to go ahead and share those here. Let me go ahead and shrink that a little bit here so that they all fit. All right. So, the 6-part question from Bodhidharma. Question 1. How do magnets work? Magnets work by aligning the electrons in a mass and forming an quantum bond between them, and they attract each other to each other. So they are polarized and draw other atoms and electrons to themselves. How many holes does a straw have? 2, 1 at each end. Unless you've got a trick straw, in which case there may be more. And if you bite the straw, then even more. That's up to you. Number 3, is there such a thing as half a hole? No. You have different half shapes, but not necessarily half holes. That's up to you. You may have half of what was a hole, but is still a hole. Also, if you spell it with a W, yes, there can be a half of a hole. Number 4, is the opposite of opposite the same? Not necessarily. You can have an opposite of an opposite that is not the same, because you can have them going in different directions based off of the definition. So, not necessarily, but possibly. Depends on the case. Number 5, if you choose to not make a choice, have you still made a choice? Yes. You chose not to. If you actively neglect to decide something, you have chosen not to make a decision. That is a decision, and it is one that I struggle with on a regular basis, is not making a decision about things. And so I have learned over the years to actively make a decision on something and run with it. That is why if you ever meet me in real life, I am very decisive, because I actively have to act against my inaction. So silence is not consent, for the record. Just saying. Number 6, why do you cook bacon and bake cookies? Because English. The next question is from Luminostra. Let me get this over here so we can put it on the screen for you guys. The next question is, what happens to people's souls when we die? Well, people's souls leave the body. After that, well, that depends on the specific case. For example, if you lose your soul to Open Books, which is a character that the Sunday group has been dealing with, the Open Books likes to, on occasion, in the right circumstance, go ahead and cast a soul cage. So your soul goes into a little box that she keeps and collects. She sometimes does that if it's a soul that she finds valuable. Famously, she did it to Madame Moira of the Jaggerbad Curio, before Madame Moira was consumed by Silas. As far as other souls, some may end up consumed by Covet Von Sin, others might be dragged to hell, others go to the astral plane and Elysium. Really depends on where the soul's going, what the situation is, course, there's always Ciceledo, the angel of death, who might just come and claim the soul and take it to where they think it belongs. But it really depends. It's a complicated question. It's not one that I can easily answer because it's situational. But easy answer is away from their body. I hope that's fun. Next question here is going to be from Mio. And Mio has a fairly long question as well. And this one won't fit in the little window easily, so I'm going to try to fit as much as I can in there. Okay. I think that's all I can really... So, I will read it all, though. How do all the races in Toivoa get along? Generally well. It's one of those things that... what did I miss from Covet here? Oh, about her eating the souls. Yes. Covet does get around as far as souls go. That's true. How do the races in Toivoa get along? Generally well. Most people are willing to give the benefit of the doubt. There are people who judge based off of the race and the species. And because of that, there are some animosities and some conflicts that go on. Ronaldus Basil, for example, is cautious about monstrous races that would be coming from Corlin. He is cautious because he wants to protect his city. And monstrous races generally have a bad rap. And Tiluan asks who nerfed the Drow. Nobody nerfed the Drow. In fact, the Drow are pretty badass in Toivoa. Just there's only one that people really hang out with, and that's Bryn Gemflower. The rest of the Drow are actually not really out there much. So good luck, because no one's discovered them. Are there areas that contain certain races hailed from? Are there areas that certain races hail from? Yes. There are certain places that races hail from. Generally, the humans and elves come mostly from Reston and from Shu. Orcs and Minotaurs, etc., come from Portland. You've got other races from different places. Most recently, there's a race of people from Utherg that have been discovered. You know them as the faction the Galal. I'm not going to tell you what their race is yet because that's still in development. But people do have different homelands, as we call it. Giants typically are over in Utherg, etc. The Australian people are mostly humans and roam Australia. So, yes and no. It's kind of a melting pot. People get around, especially in Ivrix / Ivry for those who like Ivry. Are there races? Sorry, is there inherent racism in Toivoa? Not necessarily racism, but more stereotyping. Stereotyping in Toivoa is a thing because people have been conditioned to expect certain behavior from certain races. Not all races are affected by this, but characters such as Gur from the Friday Night campaign runs into the bugbear issues where people view bugbears mostly as monsters, which in most cases they are, even though they're fairly intelligent in most cases. They're viewed as a monstrous race and not civilization friendly in Reston and the general vicinity where they're currently adventuring. But yeah, half orcs are pretty much okay. Are there races that are considered good or evil? Evil Drow. Not races, cultures. And that's a big difference. Races are not necessarily cultures. And there are evil cultures in Toivoa, and the Drow are one of those. The Drow culture, regardless of what race are in that culture at the time, because you could have Driders, you could have the Dark Elves that are the Drow that we know, or you could have humans that participate in the Drow culture. That culture is viewed as evil. So, yes, culturally, there's problems. But as far as a race, you are not locked into a morality because of how you were raised. Just a second. Okay. Just had to scratch my nose. I didn't want you guys to see that. All right. Are there any groups that are finding major lore secrets right now? Yeah. Um, yes. Absolutely major lore secrets. Today in the Lost Lore Company, we dropped a couple lore secrets that have been there, and I need to hydrate. Thank you, Red Hawk. For those who don't know, I am completely off of caffeine and sodas. I've had one soda in the last month. I've switched to drinking water and lemon juice. So, yay. I am trying to get healthy. And I've been off of caffeine now since the heart attack last year. Great. Um, yeah. Where was I? Yes. Are there races that are considered good and evil? Are there any groups that are finding major lore points? The major lore points right now, the Lost Lore Company discovered a book called Forge and Shadow. They are currently reading that. I just got done giving that to them in the past 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that. Thank you for the inspiration. I will use that on Wednesday against your party. Thank you, Toads. Um, the Monday night group, the Spirits and Fellowship. The Spirits and Fellowship is going to get a major lore point very, very soon. The Tuesday group, the Awesome Blossoms, they got a massive lore point this past Tuesday. If you did not watch that, go watch that. That is a big deal as they met up with Shinra. The Pokemon Trainwreck, they are close to a major lore point. Actually, we did a lot of lore on this past Wednesday involving Saphira. So if you want to go and check out major lore about everyone's favorite bounty in Toivoa, go watch last Wednesday's game. That was lore full. Like, we revealed a lot. I think I did like 15 NPC reveals and all sorts of stuff. It was crazy. Also, we did some major reveals about Saphira herself that have been over a year coming that the player did not know about. Friday night group is going to hit their major lore point this week. I don't want to say what that is, but they're going to hit something major this week. I'm fairly certain it'll be. Us Against the Gods got lore this week as well. They got a major lore about what's going on in Australia and the connection between the planes and the Fey Realms. And we revealed the existence of Where It Burns. And Where It Burns is going to be a place that they will have to eventually go to, which will be fun. The Mysterious Machinations, they're also very close to a lore point. They have come to a point where we need to get the entire party together. One of our players missed this past week, and so there was some initiative lacking, and they are currently working on figuring out the next step in their campaign. And so they're very close to a lore point, and I expect it to happen this week. And yeah, Wednesday was a beach episode by definition, not your traditional anime beach episode. Got kind of dark there. Was there any instances where a group almost found out something awesome, but decided to go in a completely different direction? Yes. Many. And I do mean many, 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 many. This is one of the biggest things about being a GM in a connected world like this. I create content for you guys where I put things in the world for you guys to explore and discover. And when I create that stuff, it's out there. Whether you guys explore that or not is up to you. But on a regular basis, it's not rare. It is on a very regular basis. Like, I'd say 3 or 4 times a week, where players just are nearby something and they just don't explore it, or they don't go into it. They consume someone that they could have done Talk with Dead on, something like that. They could have gotten items from that person, a variety of things. There's lots of lore that's out there that can be discovered, or you could just silence the dragon and his sidekick to prevent them from monologuing at this very start of the campaign. Just saying. But yes, very often, very, very often, 3 or 4 times a week, easily, sometimes more. I've had it happen many, many sessions where it's happened multiple times. How do you protect your NPCs in game? Are you worried that a group or PC will kill a favorite established character in Toivoa? This one is hard because most places humanoids are pretty chill with others. The fact that it is a connected world kind of has nipped a little bit of the nipped a little bit of the murder hobo out of the groups, which is good. It is. Oh, the message hasn't changed. No, the message has changed. This is just a really long question. Sorry, where was it? Yes. How do I protect NPCs in game? Most places people are chill with others. There are places where people kind of want to get aggressive with an NPC. And am I afraid of a character dying? No. And here's why. If I'm afraid of a character dying, I'm doing my job badly. If the characters are not capable of being killed, take for example Leslie. You guys could not kill Leslie or hurt her, then she becomes just a god, and she just becomes a narrative tool that you guys can never interact with any real faith. There's no stakes there. The fact that you guys could go in and attack her, yes, it would be a very, very challenging encounter, and I do not recommend anyone go do that. Just saying. But she can be killed. If you go and try to kill Brad, you'll have to deal with Brad. If you want to go kill Olivia Smedward, you can go and do that. These characters are out there to be interacted with and involved with. Just know that there are consequences, and there are people who are highly attached to these characters. So, not just NPCs, but we have player characters who love these NPCs and will then change their entire campaign. I know for a fact that if you were to go and kill Brad, for example, you can kill him. Sure, absolutely, it's doable. And it's honestly not that hard. Brad is not a super high level character. If you guys go and kill Brad, I will gamble that there would be at least 2, possibly more campaigns that would change their entire campaign to stop what they're doing and go avenge Brad, because that would be a massive plot hook for them. So if you really want to take on multiple campaign groups and get yourself screwed over, go for it. I do not protect my NPCs except through their stats. And I have some cool character sheets. I have some cool characters that I've run in the past and other players have run. As far as protecting them, as far as plot armor, I hate doing that. I think it's unfair to the players. I don't think it's right. I think it's wrong to just say, no, that doesn't work against me without a reason or a backstory thing. If you were to attack Zutono Sherez, he's got his own issues and his own weaknesses. He's also got a lot of connections. You'd have to go through and find the way he protects himself with insurance from Astrid Bronzebeard. You'd have to go and find all the different things that are in place that allow the characters to either be resurrected by others, etc. So there's things out there that can protect them, but not necessarily, oh, I don't let this happen. I hate doing that. If you're going to kill someone, for example, this past Monday night, we had the McCain brothers, and each of the McCain brothers was missing a finger. And what that finger is it's the body part that they've cut off and given to a cleric that should they die, they get true resurrected for 25,000 gold, which for them is not all that much money because they're super high level and they've got an entire organization doing jobs for them. So if you want to go and kill NPCs, go for it. Did I get fancy art for them? Sure. I got that art so that you guys had an engagement and some passion behind doing it. You want to go kill a character? Work towards it and do it. Absolutely. I'm not going to squash you. I'm going to make the encounter happen. Just know that some of these characters are super S tier. So be cautious what you wish for, because it could end your campaign in certain cases, and I don't want to do that. I think most of our players are very smart and very cautious. As far as Lieutenant Sherez killing a character on this past Friday's one-shot, frankly, that was that character's fault. You don't touch his sword and fail your Constitution saving throw by 20. So, yeah. Don't be a Minotaur who touches everything. It's a hazardous thing to your health. Especially when there's purple runes that look like death runes on it. Just not a good idea. So if you want to reach out, say, I try to reach out, as opposed to I do reach out and touch. Because the moment you commit to that and you just reach out and touch, it is absolutely just, you did it. And you got to deal with the consequence. So, do I protect NPCs? No, but they are hard to kill in some cases. For those who know about Mr. Verm is pretty protected. Those who know about our friend Judith of Judith's Intricacies and Oddities, she doesn't need to be protected because of details that some of you have discovered. But others like Brad or Samara or any of these other characters that are out there are usually weaker than you guys. So there's a couple characters that are stronger on a regular basis, but I mean, that's to be expected. But many of the NPCs you guys run into are weaker than you guys. A lot of them are weaker. All right. Next. Oh, wrong thing there. All right. So the next question here. We'll go ahead and text on this. I hope that was explanatory about how I protect the characters. I don't. You guys want to go and kill them. About the best I can do while being fair is to RP. I can roleplay and make things seem spooky and strong without them actually being mechanically strong. And I think that that's a way that I help protect characters somewhat. It's just through making them seem intimidating or scary or cute and cuddly, etc., to the point that people don't want just words. That's a she brought the character back. She said it was an OSHA violation. Yeah. All right. Next question as we move on. Are there any class and or race combinations or solos that you don't like or make you roll your eyes? Yes. Next question. I think it would be very nasty for me to go ahead and say those things because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So I'm not going to tell you which ones those are. But yes, there are race and class combinations. There's also a class that makes me roll my eyes every time I see that someone's... But I'm not telling you what that is. So, yeah. This is my AMA. I did answer the question. I do not have to explain the question. That was what the thing was. I determined the rules of my own AMA, right? Alright, so next we will fade over. Alright. Next question. What are some of your favorite things that PCs can do? Well, we've discussed this before. PCs can allow me to play video games and watch movies on the internet, etc. Personal computers are great. But if we're talking about player characters, some of my favorite ones as a GM or as a as GM or as a player. As a player, it's kind of the same thing. My favorites are Legend Lore, Murmurs of Moritas, and Speak with Dead. Those are my 3 favorites. I thought real hard about this, but the ability to go in and say, like, we know there's lore here. I don't understand how to find out more, but I absolutely want to find out more information. Here's the spells that allow me access to do that. Please allow the GM to expound and show all of the cool stuff he's got behind the scenes. I love sharing content with people. And no, it is not the lean feet. Down. Don't make me get my pool noodle. But Murmurs of Moritas, Legend Lore, and Speak with Dead, those are so flavorful and allow for so much content to be exposed to people. Those are wonderful spells. I love having those out there for people to consume and engage with. I think that sort of thing is the best part of D&D when you're, other than just the players doing the lore, it is just absolutely having fun and exploring the content that's out there and providing content for the players. It's my favorite thing. We want to learn more about a specific topic in Legend Lore. That's why I created the Australian Wayfinder feat to grant an entire party, if they've solved the problem, the Legend Lore feat, so they can get 6 per day, which is massive. I love giving out lore. I want people to know what's going on. I hate obfuscating things behind secrets and secret squirrel stuff. I want people to know what's going on, and it's my goal is to interest people in the story. Without the story, you're just rolling dice. Go play Risk. Saying, go play Risk. Cool. Next question. The next question is going to be, if you have the alert feat, can your friend successfully throw you a surprise birthday party? No. Next question. Next question is, are there time zones in Toivoa? There are no formally established time zones. Remember, time zones are only a very recent establishment on Earth. They are not a time zone. There's no established time zones in Toivoa at the moment. Basically, if it's noon where you're at, that's noon there. Just heads up on that. And noon is when the sun's in the highest point of the sky. A whole other thing. Next question is, who is Tim? Who? Next question. Oh, this is going to be a bit of a doozy here. All right. And over. How much more would we be able to infer from your facial expressions if you shaved the beard? What do you see while running a game? How many computers, monitors, etc., and what do you have up on them? I can barely find what I want on my single character sheet most days. All right. Without the beard, I am fairly unexpressive as far as the lower part of my face. I enjoy playing poker and keeping a poker face a lot. I actively put down my guards and wards, my personal emotions. I lower those when I come in GM, to the point where I close my studio is a closed off room in my house. And the studio is a safe space for me. And because no one is here and I'm a massive introvert, I shut down my walls and I let my heart out on my sleeve when I'm in here. When I go out in public, you won't be able to tell that I'm angry, sad, anything. I hide my emotions very, very well. Even my wife on a regular basis can't tell if I'm angry or sad or thinking or processing or hungry or whatever. My emotions don't express very well outside of the campaign or when I'm talking. Just sitting here and talking, I literally shut down my walls so that people can get emotional content from me. Because, old school stoicism is kind of where I'm at. I love playing poker occasionally. I hate gambling very much, but if we're playing penny poker, I don't mind. And I do decent. Not great, but I do decent. And I have a very solid poker face that I actively practice in mirrors. For years. It's one of those things that doing voices and faces and stuff for this, I practice voices a lot. Like, I will be doing voices out in the house, and my kid will be like, not like, what are you doing? She'll ask, who was that? Which is weird to just be walking around having your day and be like, who was that? That was someone else. Who knows? I have no clue. Yeah. Just one of those things. But I have shaved the beard before. I've had a beard since I was 14 years old. For very few times between that, I have shaved for any period of time. The reason I did not join the military was because I did not want to shave on a regular basis. The scruff you see right now, I shaved yesterday morning. I have what people would classify as a weak beard on the sides. That's a day and a half for me. Being Cuban, my hair grows very, very quickly, and I have to shave twice a day if I want to face it. Just heads up. Welcome, Buddy Blanks. How you doing, buddy? All right. Next question here. Wrong page. Next one here. How often do you wing it or improv? Often. As far as the definition, though, it's important to make sure that you understand what we mean by improv. And completely improv, never. I believe that what I do for a living is I prepare things and I create content so I don't have to do complete improv. I believe GMing as complete improv is near impossible, and the few times that I have done it in the past, long past, I feel bad about doing it and I'm not great at it. I think that complete improv is a massive skill, and I give huge props to people who can just go out and improv out the wazoo. Those are amazing. And thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. That's very cool. Thank you so much for the sub. Greatly appreciate it. Subbed. Subbed. Thing. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for the sub, whoever just subbed. Greatly appreciate that. But as far as complete improv, never, never, never do I completely improv. I have character bios, names, backstories, descriptions. I have all sorts of content. Thanks, Bunny, for the sub. I appreciate it a lot. The content that I make is intentional and thought through. Will I occasionally come in and give an improv name? Yes. Usually that happens when the players explore a character that is a side character or someone that I did not expect them to talk to, such as walking down the street, turn right, go into an alley, and ask who that is. I can't create hundreds of thousands of NPCs, so yes, occasionally I will grab an NPC name off my list. I have an NPC list where I go through, and if I need a name, I have regional names for the zone that they're adventuring in. I grab one of those names with its description and pull it in. So I have that stuff. It is a preparation thing. And I believe that in the case of like Whose Line Is It Anyway, they have an idea of the format that they're going into. And so getting into that headspace allows for improv to fly better. So never, never, never do I do it completely improv. I think that's irresponsible on my part to try to do complete improv. And I think it's near impossible because my players are creative and amazing with their imaginations and will poke holes in everything the moment that I try to do that. If you've not seen the video of Covet Von Sin's conspiracy wall, that's more evidence as to why I cannot improv. People hold me to the fire and poke holes in all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, people ask, like Red Hawk say, who is random character number 2 at the bar? You look over, I have to give you a character description of who's sitting there. I sometimes have to improv that, but I bring it off of my improv preparation sheet, I guess. So it's not technically improv because I don't create it just out of the wazoo. But when it comes to descriptions on attacks, like discussing, oh, you slashed him through the spleen, or your sword clashes against his shoulder plate, all of that, 99% of my combat description are improv. So when it comes to attacks, taking damage, and in combat interactions where I'm heckling or making noises, 99% of that is improv. I try to do that well. I'm not sure if I do. I try to. Just heads up. When it comes to story points, though, only minor ones get improv. It's usually what kind of bread is currently being baked at Akatea's, what's on tap over at the consortium when Brad's giving out food, what's for breakfast at Happy Hatchets. That's usually pretty improv. As far as story points go, actual story points, no, I don't think that I want to improv those because you guys will find the plot holes in it and it'll suck. So I believe it's a responsibility thing for you guys, for me to have preparation done, and I think that's why I do what I do. So just heads up on that. I don't improv major story points. I need those. I do have bullet points for each campaign. I have a absolutely lined out, this is what the group's trying to do. For example, the Lost Lore Company is looking to build a rival adventuring guild to the consortium. The Lost Lore Company wants to build a base. They want to go out in the wild and build a outpost and establish a location out there and take jobs and go and explore lore of Toivoa. Those are my bullet points for that group. I do have other bullet points regarding like Skybreaker Kydron, where Marcellinus wants to go and kill the dragon. I have the political points as to what's going on in the story, but as far as driving where the players are going and what they're doing, I don't have a linear line for any of the campaigns because they did ask not to have that. And so, because the campaigns asked for not a linear campaign, I'm not giving them a linear campaign. You guys can go and do what the heck you want. Which does mean that I have to ask occasionally, where are you going? What's going on? Where do you intend to go next week? That is all questions that allows me to prep for you guys to have better content. Conversations, general interactions, voices, specific lines, reactions. Yeah, 99% of that's improv. If you're talking to Brad and you ask how his day is, I have to improv that. I don't have how his day is going. You go over and ask Happy Hatchet how he's feeling. It really depends on how I think Happy Hatchet's doing that day. Go over to Troy's Tronkets. Troy might be working on a specific project. I don't know how he's doing that day, and it really depends on the improv that day. So those types of interactions are usually improv. Shopping interactions are usually improv. But I have a character basis of who this person is, how they react to certain situations and behaviors. So it's improv, yes, but it's prepared improv. So not 100%. It's nice to have an established character when you're doing this sort of thing. So kind of every session, but still not because it's all prepped. Kind of the way it is. I also have a lot of battle maps sitting off to the side. I got caught a couple weeks ago by the Awesome Blossoms, where instead of going through either end of a tunnel, they decided to dig straight down into the tunnel using a cave badger. That threw me for a loop, and I did not have that battle map ready. So we had to end about 15 minutes early, but we stuck around and discussed things. Well, not early. It was still in the 3 to 4 hour range, but 15 minutes earlier than we normally end, which is at the 4 hour mark for that group. So they caught me there, and I had it all ready by the. No, it's absolutely fine. I think that's great content where you just explore different options. Next question here. But one of these days I'll have an administrative assistant here so that I can actually just do the questions. Just saying. All right. Yep. Too far. Go. Next question. What are your feelings on exploits in the game that people might see on the internet? Have you ever had anyone try things like them? Yep. And this is from Luminostra. Yes, I have people try these exploits all the damn time. I see, for lack of a better term, I call it net decking. It is a term that comes from collectible card games where people watch a video on YouTube. They find, oh, look, here's how you go ahead and do 1,000 damage in a turn. Or here's how you build a ranger, a gloomstalker, or whatever. When you get those characters who come in and they're running what someone else designed, they come in and they don't have fun. Frankly, you come in and you're playing someone else's character. It's not yours. Yeah, you might roleplay the roleplay side of it, but when it comes to the combat, you're just punching a button and pushing a button that someone else told you to push. It's not creative. It's not enjoyable for the player, and they quickly lose focus into the thing. So I encourage people to create your own character, play the character, explore what the character is doing, and use the abilities that character uses, as opposed to, I am a certain class that uses this one ability. This is my one thing I do. This is all I do ever because this is what the template said. That's not real engaging, in my opinion. I think that there's a lot more to what you can do in D&D than just following the template that someone else has put. I like seeing people use that same build even to do it in a different way. For example, one of the Gloomstalkers that has been in my campaigns before, named Drask. Drask was a Gloomstalker kobold and did amazing damage and was a great team player, but he focused on recon. He would go up ahead, would come back and report. It wasn't just about the damage. Played it not just, oh, I hit things because I'm a stealthy kobold and have advantage on everything. It was, I'm playing a creepy person who actually plays as the creepy person. I love that from Drask, and I think it's one of the best Gloomstalkers I've seen, is the guy who goes out there and actually embraces the Gloomstalker side of things. I'd encourage more people to not just accept the templates that are given out on the internet, but play your character. You'll have more fun. That's my personal opinion on it. I think that is where I kind of like to stand. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Next question after the exploits. Here we go. Oh, wrong sheet. Next question. This is a bit long, so I'm going to shrink it a little bit. I guess I have two actual questions along with the flat world. Why does this landmass feel like a little smaller than Europe in size? When was this island continent isolated from the rest of the world by the Protectorate as either a sanctuary or a prison? The landmass is a lot bigger than some people give it credit for. Europe is massive. Frankly, it is a massive, massive space. This is not all the terrain in Toivoa and is currently only the spaces that have been explored and where I'm running the campaign right now in order to fully develop this area, as opposed to just putting little pinpricks of content very, very far away. So right now what I'm doing is I'm focusing on this nice little dense section, very much like European history. it's this nice concentrated section. That's what I'm kind of focusing on right now. It's what I have, and I will be expanding it in the future. And I think there's actually a second question later. As far as when this happened, it happened during the High War when the islands fell and created the new shape of the land masses. Protectorate formed during that, and the Protectorate has kind of expanded across the northern border of the area, and I believe the southern border as well. There's areas of the oceans, though, that the Protectorate does not involve itself in. There are reasons that have not been discovered there. So, just tossing that out there. Next question is, have you ever felt so insecure about a session that you canceled? No. I believe that it's my responsibility to host session for you guys. It's not in my headspace to cancel a session. I will run the session, and because that's what you guys are here for. If I don't run the session, you guys don't get to play. That is my biggest hang-up about the D&D culture, is the stereotype of a campaign failing to run. That is the least fun thing, is not running something because the GM just doesn't feel confident about it. I do this for my living. This is how I pay my mortgage. This is how I pay my bills. This is how I eat. So because of that, I cannot literally afford to cancel a session just because I'm insecure. I must come in here and I must do the session. I must do my absolute best for you guys because you deserve it. You worked hard for your money, and it would be disrespectful for me not to run the session just because I didn't. That's not right for me to do. I won't do it. I have had to cancel sessions, yes, but not because of insecurities. The reasons I've had to cancel sessions have been because I'm sick. I've been in the hospital due to a heart attack where I had to miss 2 sessions. But other than that, I think that is absolutely 100% my place to ensure that you guys are having a good time, and my insecurities don't matter because I'm a professional and I want to do the best damn job I can for you. Just, I have to. That's all there is to it. So, no, I do not cancel sessions due to insecurities. Do I feel insecure? Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Do I feel insecure? Yes. I will tell you that in the past 2 weeks, I have had so many insecurities that I did not sleep one of the nights. And I'm not going to tell you what night that was. There have been nights where I have been so insecure about the content I'm providing that I just didn't sleep at all. And it was stay up all night and the entire day just to get the content ready to make sure that it's as good as it possibly can be. And even then, I go into session, I'm like, am I going to get this or not? Do I like this or not? Is this an engaging story or not? And even if it's not my best work, I do put my best heart into it. Even if I'm not capable of hooking the players into it, I do my damn best for you guys, best I can. Here, I do have backups for everything. That was a question that I don't think actually got asked in the AMA, but I am going to do a video on in the future about my backups and my systems, because it's important that you guys realize how much I invest in order to make sure that you guys have your games. I currently have 3 computers that I can, actually 4 computers that I can run the sessions off of. I have setups so that if the power goes out, I will have a computer that will be online for 14 hours. I will also have an internet connection for 14 hours. I have redundant internet connections in the form of my fiber internet. I also have a mobile internet connection that can handle the entire data for an entire session, just in case the hard line goes down. I have backups of all my content through Backblaze, which is a cloud backup service. I love them. Last year, I actually lost 3 terabytes of videos and within 3 days I had all my data back because of Backblaze. When you lose every session you've done for 3 years, and then you just click a button and you've got them all back, that's an amazing service. Just saying. I keep 2 hard drives with all my GMing content online at all times in different computers. In my main computer, there are 2 hard drives that have the same content on them. So if one hard drive dies, I just use it from the other hard drive. They're mirrored through a RAID system. If you guys know what RAID is, it duplicates the content from one hard drive to the other and notifies you if one dies. So I still run. No one notices that one hard drive is dead. I just keep functioning. I did have an issue where the streaming computer died a couple weeks ago. When that happened, I had a backup computer for that, and I was still able to stream, even though the quality wasn't as good. I was still able to stream and get things up. That I have backup lights. I have backup microphone coming in. Actually, I have a backup microphone. It's just not a nice one. I have backup headphones, so I have 2 sets of Bluetooth headphones because I like different types of headphones for what I do. I don't want to go bald with the headset, so I use a Tozo M6 earbuds, which you guys see all the time. These last for 8 hours without recharging. These are awesome. I keep these plugged in on my desk at all times. I also have these monster earbuds here in another case, just in case the Tozo don't sync up or they get a new driver. I don't want to be tied to a specific brand. So I have a different set of earbuds just in case my earbuds die. I have 2 mice. I have 2 keyboards. I have 2 switches for my KVM. I have 4 monitors. I have a spare chair. I have backups for everything because you guys come first. And without these backups, there's a session that won't happen. And I don't want to be the GM that hops on Discord and says, no, we can't do session. I have it set up so if this house floods, I have a separate location I can be at in 20 minutes and run a session from. You guys are absolutely the priority. We'll have your sessions as much as I possibly can. At least 2 of everything, if not more. So I keep backups of everything because I believe you guys are important. At the end of every campaign, I download all your character sheets and I have backups of all your X characters. Okay. Just because I want to make sure that everything is backed up for you guys. Everything needs to be backed up, redundant, and reliable. I'm not providing a good service for you. Yeah, I do have a backup if the Almost Basin floods. I do, actually. I actually have a guy in Bandera, Texas, that will allow me to run sessions from his house. So, yes, I do. The city could flood and I could go out and have session. So, yeah. So yeah, my house could go underwater and also run session. In fact, most of my documents are online, so I can do it from any computer at a library. Wouldn't be great, but I'd be able to run the event. So backups. Everything's backed up. I try to document everything so that everything's backed up everywhere. My administrative documents, if Google goes down, I have a backup of all the Google Docs and everything and Google spreadsheets that I put on my computer once a week in order to make sure that those are redundant. Everything's backed up so that everything's taken care of. I am actually looking at getting a safety deposit box where I will be putting a USB drive or a SSD containing all of my content in case all the computers just blow up all at the same time. I will have backups of everything. Yes, I will have backups. Do I have paper backups? I do have paper backups for most characters. I have a filing cabinet where I keep character sheets. And I'm a collector of character sheets. If you guys don't know this, one of my favorite things to get at garage sales is go through the D&D books that are there, and they're always expensive books, but they will just hand me the character sheets that are inside. I love getting those. Those are intellectual property that they just hand me. I love those. All right. The next question. Let's go here. How do you maintain fairness and consistency in the rules, especially during crucial moments of the game? This is the hard part of GMing. If I wanted to play an extremely intelligent NPC, there's nothing that you're going to stop the NPC. it's going to be exceedingly difficult for keeping an NPC from just killing the party. You can kill a party with 7 kobolds, just absolutely decimate them without ever doing anything more than making noise. It's not hard to kill characters. I hate doing it. How do I maintain fairness? I let the dice decide a lot. I believe that the dice sometimes are better character tellers or storytellers than I am, but not always. There are times where it makes sense for a character to do a certain thing, and then there's others where it's like, okay, there are 3 targets around me. I could just pick on the person with the lowest health bar. I know that the NPC doesn't. What would the NPC do? Which is why I roll the D3 and we go top down, left to right to determine who's getting attacked. That's a way that I mitigate the unfairness that could be observed about being a GM. I don't want to be the guy who picks on somebody. I hate that. The accusation of, oh, you're picking on me, I hate it. I do not want to show favorites. I don't want to pick on someone because they're doing something annoying or something. I don't like doing that. I would rather address it outside the session. And I don't want that to leak into the game, which is why I do so many random targets. So let the dice tell the story. And sometimes it tells a story that we may not enjoy, but that's kind of the D&D. So that's how I kind of stay fair. We're already over 2 hours. All right. Let's see if we can speed this up a moment. Oh, we got a few more. Okay. Here's the next question. All right. And that, I think this asks, I think I asked this before, but I don't remember the answer. Do Drow and Toivoa have the same sinister reputation as in Faerun, or are they treated just like any other kind of elf? We did answer that. As a culture, they have a very mean, dark, nasty reputation. They are viewed as conniving, sinister, and dark. Unintended. Thank you for the hydration, Red Hawk. All right. So that's the answer to the Drow. Next. Okay. Yeah, we're going to cut here in a bit. I'm going to give ours another... I'm going to do 25 more minutes. Are you guys cool with that? 25 more minutes, and then we'll cut it. We're almost done. All right, the next question. As Dungeon Master, how do you find the right balance between guiding the narrative and maintaining player agency, especially when players are deeply invested in their characters and strategies? Separation. You got to emotionally separate things. You got to really emotionally separate yourself from the content. It is a dispassionate thing where, as a dungeon master, my job is not to win. My job is to provide challenges and content. The moment that I care too much about my NPCs, I fail. I fail to entertain. I fail to be a good GM. I fail everything. I will lose your trust the moment I do that, and I hate it. So I don't believe that player agency is a good term for this. I think that player agency is allowing players to attempt what they want to do as opposed to succeeding automatically in what they do. I much prefer giving the players the option to try and find out. I like saying you can certainly try. It's something that I got from Matt Mercer. Matt Mercer's an amazing GM. Like, say what you want about whatever else, and I don't know what anyone would say, but Matt Mercer is amazing as a GM. He is an amazing GM, and he's got a lot of great tips and tricks, and amazing guy, especially as a game master and storyteller. Phenomenal. But he likes to say the phrase, how would you like to do this? You can certainly try. These are phrases that allow the players to have the agency of, I'm going to try. So it's one of those things that just let the players try as opposed to determining this is how it happens. I've tried myself to go into the questioning of, does your character do this cool thing? Is your character chewing on a blanket, like today Grum was doing? Ask the questions if their character's doing this. How do you feel about this? It's a system of allowing the player to decide yes or no instead of defining it for them. By allowing the player the choice of, does your character do this minor thing, or granting the player the option of, if you move to this side of the creature, you get flanking. Would you like to do that? Gives the player the choice of, no, I don't want to do that. I'd rather stay here and do this. That's their decision at that point. And you got to accept the fact that the players are doing their thing. So a little dispassionate side is being not necessarily attached to what you're doing and letting the players, realizing that it's the player's story, not yours. That is a big key to this, is making sure that you understand that. Because the moment you forget that, you stop being entertaining to the player. This is a service that I do for people. This is not a... It's not a product that someone can hold in their hand yet. It's coming eventually, but at the moment it is a service that I provide. And there's many, many GMs that are amazing out there who do this as a service to their friends. And I see that as an act of love from those people to their friends. It is a labor of love for GMs to put themselves out there for free every single week or every single month or however often. Your GMs love you if they're doing it for free. Like, seriously, this is a job and it is a lot of work. More power to those GMs if they're running it for free. Good job. Good job. Keep it up. Love you guys. Full respect. Because it is hard. So just appreciate your GMs. If you're participating in a game, thank you, GMs. Yeah. You would thank your masseuse. If you had a family member that was a masseuse, you'd thank them. Thank you, GM. Same idea. All right. Next question. Does Toivoa have an analog to the Blood War? Or if not, what kinds of things are the various fiends getting up to? Yes, there is a Blood War going on in the Hells. It is massive, and actually why there's so few fiends and devils in Toivoa. Very few groups have run into any at all. That hasn't really come up as a question because so few have come up. So that's why there's not as many fiends and devils, because they're busy. Just heads up on that. Next question. In your opinion, what is the balance between challenging players and ensuring they have agency in the outcome of an encounter? Same idea. Is let the players try. I think that one. One sec. Actually, similar thing. Similar question. It is let the players try. Provide the challenge, let them figure out how to solve it, and allow for multiple ways out in exploration. 90% of the time, the players do something I have no idea to expect. So have fun with it, guys. Be creative. All right, got another 20 minutes. I would further and ask, is there order to Toivoa in terms of land masses, and is there more? Yes, there is. I don't have it available for you at the moment. It is in my head and has been discussed with my theory crafters, but it is not ready for consumption at the moment. So it is coming eventually. I would like to expand Toivoa into a full space, we'll call it. It would be a good term. So that's out there. Next question. What is a highlight you don't get to tell from a past game, one I ran or played in, that you rarely get to tell but want to whenever someone asks about D&D stories? I had a player, his name was Eric actually, and we were playing in a game up in Omaha, and this was a 7-year campaign. And during the 7-year campaign, he eventually became the avatar of Cord, the god of strength in Faerun. And they were going through a campaign to allow the new Platinum Dragon to ascend to godhood to replace Bahamut. And to do so, they had to catch her soul, which had been taken by Asmodeus in Hell. Well, they went to Hell. They spent better part of 3 months just trying to find the gates to Asmodeus' citadel. Fought demons and fiends and dangerous cliffs and lava flows, whole 9 yards. They went through hell getting there. They get to the gates. The gates are closed. The guards out front, they fight them. It lasted an entire session just killing the 2 guards. Great. The gates are still closed. They don't have any way into this city. The walls are a mile high, just sheer, no way in. No way in. They didn't have any teleportation. They couldn't get over the wall. Nothing. Well, the avatar of Cord, Eric's character, was like, bleep it, I'm going to go in. And the party looked at him and was like, what do you mean you're going to go in? We're going to go in. And they cast clairvoyance on the gate to see what was beyond it, right? Well, they looked behind it, and there were 500 fiends behind it, ready to come out the moment the gates open, which is terrible and is a TPK waiting to happen if they don't play exceedingly smart. Very, very high level characters. Well, he's like, all right, well, I'm going to knock the gate down. I'm like, you're going to what? I'm the avatar of the god of strength. I'm going to knock the gate down. I'm like, all right, fine. Let's roll your divine intervention. But on this roll, because you're in hell at the gates of Asmodeus, you're going to need to roll a 100 on a D100 or you fail. And he takes his dice and he rolls them across the table, and they skip across, because we have 2 tables, skips across the center line, lands on the floor, and without looking, I say, you got to stick with whatever that is. And we looked over. It was a 100. The gate gets knocked down. Squashes all 500 of the fiends. Avatar of Cord walks across the gate, using it as a bridge over the fiends, and walks right up to the gate of Asmodeus. Just pulled it off. And he gets halfway in. He turns to the rest of the party who hasn't moved because they're all, and goes, y'all coming? Great story. So, absolutely love telling that story. Once in a never story. It is great. I love telling that story. Just never get to. All right. Next question. And I've got 15 minutes to go here. Queen, did you get that right? Yeah. Can Queen Titania have paladins and clerics? Can she have warlocks? Can they be secretly dual classed? Can Queen Titania have paladins? No. Can Queen Titania have warlocks? Yes. Can they be secretly dual classed? No, she'll know. She'll know if they're dual classed. She's smart enough and intelligent enough to know that information. So yes and no, or no and yes, I should say. So Queen Titania is pretty badass, and if you've not gotten a chance to interact with her, she's a ton of fun to interact with. All right, next question here. What are the roles of years? How does time is tracked in Toivoa? What is the current year? How many months, days, etc.? What are they named? Are there festivals, special days in Toivoa? Are there roles of years? What are the historical events that are common knowledge to everyone? The roles of the years, we do 365-day years. I'm currently not set with any names that I like for the months as far as anything else. So we're just using American month names because I like them and it's easy for people to refer to. But eventually I will be updating the Toivoan calendar with different names. And I want to kind of figure out a cool system for that. I don't want to overcomplicate it because it confuses players. Current year depends on which campaign you're in, how many months, days, etc. The months are 12 months right now, and just American month names. Are there any festivals or special days in Toivoa? Yes. You'll have to find them. But Solstice is a big one. Uh, there's also Winter Day. Winter Day is on December 27th, and you guys will never get to celebrate it because that's my birthday, and I said so. So Winter Day just is an unavailable time for everybody else. Just saying. What are the historical events that are common knowledge to everyone? The High War was a big one. The skies falling was another. There's a whole bunch like that. As far as in Reston, there's also the establishment of the Roman king. So that's a thing. Etc. Next, how did you become a GM the first time? Because on your website it says that you've been doing this for 30 some odd years. So here we go. How did I become a GM? I was at my parents' house here in Texas. I was 8 years old. A neighborhood friend came over, a little playmate came over with the red box, and he sat down and was like, "Hey, I want you to tell me a story." And I just read it off the box, and we did a quick adventure, and we got busted playing Dungeons and Dragons on my parents' table, and they got freaked out because of the Satanic Panic back in the 80s, which was a whole plot by the media to discredit D&D and cause people to look bad. Whole 9 yards. Go watch that. But because of the Satanic Panic, my parents decided, as good Christian people, to investigate what it was that Eric was doing at 8 years old with demons and warlocks and stuff. Read the book and go, you can keep doing this. It's not a big deal. It's just have fun. And so I've been doing role-playing games since then. And even before that, I was doing cosplay, or costuming is what we called it back then, where I would dress up as different characters. But I've been GMing since then, and I've been professional now full-time almost 4 years come April. Really fun to say. Real proud of it. Yeah, long time. Been doing this since I was 8 years old. Which campaign produces the most looks of utter befuddlement in you? Let's go ahead and put this here. That needs to be size. All right. All right. Cool. Which campaign produces the most looks of utter bafflement to you? Toivoan Trainwreck. The Toivoan Trainwreck does the craziest face-palming, dumbest things on the planet. They are always off the wall doing anything. They have no predictable moves. Nothing that the Toivoan Trainwreck does is predictable in any way. The Awesome Blossoms are probably second. The Friday Night Lights are up there. The Us Against the Gods are up there too. Mystery Machine does some crazy things. They do. The Lost Lore Company today did just off the wall stuff. All of my groups do different things. The Spirits End Fellowship has done just face palmy things all the time. But as far as on a consistent basis, I leave my studio and I'm like, what the hell just happened? Toivoan Trainwreck is a weekly. Just no idea what's happening. From making a ship fly and crashing it down to kill everybody on the inside on accident, or to drowning a guy that they had promised to save because they just let their ship go into the elemental plane of water. Toivoan Trainwreck is a train wreck. When you have a character who is, last week was the focus of the story this past week. It was Her Night to Shine. When that character equips a cursed item to increase their wisdom score to 0, right? You're actively equipping cursed items to gain a benefit. Yeah, that's kind of the definition of facepalmy. I had created this item to be picked up by one of the other players in the group, and they found it and they're like, "Oh, this is pretty," and they put it on first. Now they're stuck with it, and they got a bonus by taking their wisdom save to 0. So they're kind of the facepalming people. If you want to get the facepalm memes and watch the 21 train wreck, all the groups put me through the ringer on facepalms. Though this past week has been one of those times where no idea what's coming. All the players are always doing strange off the wall things. And I got a couple more minutes, so I'm going to pull up chat here and see what's going on in Discord, see if anyone posted any more questions that I did not do. Crafting question about the survivalist and you. I have considered that. I am working on a crafting document. It is not pretty, and it is not ready for consumption by anybody. Not even the paper shredder. It's not great. What's one thing you can think of each year? I'm going to put this. This is actually go. What's one thing you think each of your campaigns do especially well, and one thing you think they could each spend more time and effort doing or pursuing? Okay. One thing that each of the campaigns do especially well. Let's go through the list of campaigns. The Lost Lore Company, those guys are a tight-knit group. They are great at combat. They are excellent in a pinch. They are great strategists and amazing power gamers. That group is amazing when it comes to their content as far as getting through encounters. Today they invaded a giant's house and didn't have to roll initiative during the entire thing. They work well together. They are awesome. One thing that I think they could do a little better at, maybe, I hate doing this part of it, but I think a little bit of the sharing the limelight might be a little. They're getting better. They're getting better. The Spirits and Fellowship, those are power gamers as well. Those guys are optimized at the yin yang. I think that maybe a little bit more lore exploration and maybe a little bit more insight into who they're encountering might be beneficial, but I don't think that's a downside. I think that that's in their characters. I hate doing the critique thing, but I think that that's where they're currently at. Awesome Blossoms, what they're good at in the campaign is lore exploration. These people go through and try to find non-combative ways to solve encounters. They will talk their way out of any thing that they could do more time and effort pursuing. Probably actually firing on all cylinders and going for it, because sometimes they him and haw a little bit. Okay, it's fun. The 21 train wreck, they could roll their dice better. That's the big one for them, is their dice suck. That's a big one for them. They do a decent amount of lore exploration, but they have more lore tools than they're using. But they are amazing at combat as well. Those guys are top-notch power gamers. Friday Night Lights. Friday Night Lights are very good role players. Those are very intense role players. Their combat has suffered in the past, but they're getting there better. And yes, the dice do tell a story. The Us Against the Gods campaign, they're great role players. They are lore hounds out the wazoo. There's a little bit of understanding in some of the characters of their character sheets that could a little bit more exploration, but I think they need just more experience with what their characters can do and trying new things. And then the Mysterious Machinations, I think that those guys are great at contacts and thinking outside the box. I think that their best thing that they could probably improve on is actually their self-confidence, because they have a lot of tools at their disposal, and I think that they could just get a little better going for it and not being afraid of what's coming. Because those guys are amazing role players and figure out things that I would not believe because they are great. I love working with those guys, and I love seeing them in action. I just think that confident. That's where I'm at with those guys. Got 4 minutes here. Have you ever considered playing in a game as one of your NPCs? Yes, I have. I will go ahead and put this in here. Yes, I have considered playing as one of my NPCs. I actually did it several weeks ago when I played in Charmed Fantasies One Shot. Thank you for the hydrate. I occasionally like doing it, but not often. I actually enjoy being a GM more than. And who is my favorite NPC or voice? Oh, this is hard. Who is my favorite NPC or voice? Oh, goodness. I think that Brad has to be pretty high up there. Brad's up there. Sutona Shirez is kind of the one that I personally have a bit of a connection to, but I don't get to do him very often. His voice is not great. But as far as the voice goes, Greg Budknife is up there. That's a fun guy. His voice is fun to do, but as far as fun goes, I think the agent, also known as Sumar, he's up there as far as what I like doing because I get to go into a little bit of my Latin roots, get a little bit breathy on that. It's kind of fun. Perfix is also a ton of fun because he's dumb as a box of rocks, and Perfix is such a marshmallow and just a person that you want to just give him a hug and bro fist and go bowling with or axe throwing. Perfix is just the guy that's like, oh yeah, let's go and do this. He's such a bro, and I love Perfix as a character. He's a lot of fun. Thank you for the stretch. No, not Dour Green. Dour Green sucks as a voice. Officially, you guys want to know my least favorite character to voice? It's Dour Green Beauregard. Oh my god, I hate doing his voice. I literally have to choke myself in order to make the voice happen. And when I do it, I have to go get honey lemon water for like the next 4 hours to recover. Because it is murder on my voice. I hate doing that voice. Is it the right voice for the character? Yes. Could I change it? Yes. Should I change it? No. The character's voice is that way for a reason. I am committed to the bit because it's the right thing for the character, and the character is one that I want to hate. I do not like Dour Green Beauregard as a storyteller. I don't like him. He is a villain through and through. He is not a good guy. He is harsh and nasty, and his voice reflects it. I hate doing it. But I will do it because it's the best thing for the players and the players' experience. For those who haven't heard it, I will do a quick line here. And see, what you got to do is you actually grab the base of the throat, choke it up, breathe. You breathe like this. You talk like Dour Green. It sucks. It really sucks to do Dour Green Beauregard for 30 minutes. Oh my gosh, I hate doing it. But it is a voice that is memorable and is something that is impactful and people will remember about the character. So I hate doing that voice, but is it the right voice for the character? Yes. Are there other voices I hate doing? Yeah. Yeah, there's other voices I hate doing. I hate doing Aaron Sharppoint Dead. Yeah. I hate doing him. I hate doing him. He sucks. I hate that character so much. But I do it because it's what the characters do, and they need their own voice that's memorable, separate from other people. One that my players like, and I'm overtime. One of my players like is the one from the museum in Central Wall. Where you take your lip and you tuck it up over your teeth.
and you check it in, and that's all I get. Yes, this is really just talking. This is really what we say, and this is really goes. And we welcome you to the museum, and this is really what it goes.
And I hate doing that one as well because it just hurts the next day on my cheeks. But we're over time, guys. Thank you so much for coming to the AMA. I got through most of the questions that were presented. We are going to go and clear out the AMA channel in Discord so that people can go ahead and add more questions for next time so that you can come in and see the AMA. I'd like to do this on a regular basis, kind of like once a month, once every 2 months, to let people have a little bit of fun and have a good time. But I cannot do this on a regular basis. Like, it's just unsustainable to do it every week. But I hope you guys had fun with this. We are going to go ahead and take these wonderful viewers that we have. We are going to go ahead and raid somebody. And who are we going to raid today? We are going to go raid Charm. Charm Fantasy is currently streaming, and we're going to go raid him because it's going to be a lot of fun. Have a wonderful time, guys. Thank you so much for choosing me to be your GM. I greatly appreciate it. Remember, I've got the one-shot on March 3rd with Charmed Fantasy. He's the guy that we're going to be including in that one-shot, so come watch that. I've got the pillow on the website that's going to be available for at least a little while longer. I also have the GM tip videos that happen every single day. Those go out at 8:45 Central Time. The GM archives, which the Oh Gods Why campaign is what I'm putting out right now. The videos on those are poor. The production quality is bad, but story's there. The AMA, thank you for coming to this. And the next session is the Spirit's End Fellowship tomorrow evening. So, guys, have a wonderful week. Stay safe. Have a wonderful evening, I should say. Stay safe, and we will catch you guys tomorrow for the Spirit's End Fellowship. And if not then, for your special campaigns or later on Twitch. Take care, everybody. Thanks for coming, and I will catch you guys at another time. Be safe. And if I can actually hit the outro video, work. Watch this, guys. And bye.